The Guerrilla Generation is an example of the new breed of coin game. What's new? What's changed? I'm going to introduce this game to my buddy Flash here on Legendary Tactics. If you're a fan of coin games like the Guerrilla Generation, but you just can't seem to find yourself a copy, we recommend you check out Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games has everything from old classics to new classics, miniatures, components, dice, everything you could need to build out your total ultimate board game collection.
And you can trade in your games for cash or for trade value.
So check them out. I'm going to put the link in the description below.
Right.
Okay, the Guerrilla Generation.
I'm curious now, the new breed of coin games.
Yes, so, and this is actually, I know traditionally you have not really loved coin. You've humored me a couple times. We played here and there, but this is, I think, perhaps a side of the coin series that you might actually like.
Okay,
and
is it slightly lighter than regular coin?
Yes and no, but I'll explain why. In this game, it's actually not one game.
Okay.
It's actually 4 mini games.
Oh, so El Salvador, Nicaragua, Peru,
and Uruguay. So it has the Peruvian Civil War from 80 to 92. It has El Salvador, which was a conflict I remember growing up hearing about on the news all the time. Uruguay, which was around a little bit before me. Nicaragua, we've all heard of the Iran-Contra affair. That is that conflict. And so what they do in this game, and they've been doing this, there's a couple of other ones, the British Way, and I believe there's another one as well. So they, instead of doing this giant game that takes 8 hours to play, they do these kind of mini games that I think, like I played this one so far and this one. And this one, like I played it a couple times and I thought, you know what? If you knew what you were doing, this might take 45 minutes to an hour to get the whole game in.
Did you play solo?
I just played solo, but as I was kind of working my way through, I'm like, I'm kind of getting like the vibe of this.
Now, is this one board or 4
No,
boards?
it's actually 4 boards. You have Peru.
Okay.
You have Nicaragua. You have
here we go.
Uruguay. So you can see like the production values are great.
Yeah.
And El Salvador, right? And they're all unique. They're all different conflicts, all in the same region. You're getting 4 for 1.
Wow.
And this was first done in the British Way, which is based in the Middle East, and they did 4 conflicts there. But you know, this is the first one that I have tried. And it is so interesting because it's all the same, you know, basic framework.
Still asymmetrical.
But each one plays really, really differently. And even though they have 4 rule books, like a lot of them, most of the rules are the same, but they treat them as literally 4 individual games.
Wow.
But honestly, like the way that it comes together, I just found it was like, you know what? This is a really neat way to explore the coin series. And you have like spots where you can put your pieces, but you double up on a lot of the pieces. So like this is the government pieces for every game.
Right.
So you don't need a fresh set of everything. And then they just add in other counters.
Now who's the designer for this?
It's Stephen Rangazas. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
And has he done any other of the coin games, or?
I'm not actually sure if he did the British Way or whatever.
Okay.
That's
what you're for.
I'd have to double
check.
That's your
job.
Yeah,
look it up and let us know.
Check me in the comments, but I'm not entirely sure. But they have like all the cards and everything are built in. So you get a separate deck of cards and you use whatever side of the board, but a lot of the pieces are actually used over and over.
That makes sense. And
you get 4 games in one.
And there's more likelihood of doing a smaller scenario rather than one massive.
Yes, well that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
and so you get this variety, but you get to see also where the conflicts had things in common, how they were different, and as I said, the rules. Honestly, the rules overhead, if you've played coin before, it's very manageable. There's not necessarily a ton different, but they play differently in terms of like how you win and that kind of thing. It was really and what you learn about the conflict as well. Like for example, in Nicaragua, the Contras were sort of being housed in the Honduras and down in Costa Rica, and they were kind of moving into Nicaragua, but they had to be connected to, they couldn't just operate there. They were being supported from outside. So a lot of the government, what they're trying to do is basically clog the borders to keep the enemy at bay. And that's very different from, say, Peru, where it's more the enemy from within and so forth, where the government's trying to tamp down an insurrection from within. But this one, you have to actually track down, you have to search and spend actions trying to find the leader of the insurrection, and which they actually did. They did capture him in real life. They've actually got a photo of him, of Guzman. They've got a photo in here somewhere. Yeah, there he is. He's in jail.
Geez, okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, nice.
that's a real photo. It's I thought it was like some artificial. It looks almost fake, but. But yeah, that's a real photo. So anyway, so they all play out very differently. And this is, I think, where Coin really has great opportunities, because if you have conflicts that are in the same region, same time frames, you can use the system to compare and contrast, but you're not diving into a game that's going to take you 8 hours. Like, I love Liberty or Death. At Circle DC, there's always someone that runs a game, and they book off about 8 hours to play that game.
Huge.
For a full player experience.
Good
but if this one, if you've got maybe an hour or so, you can get through a scenario and enjoy the Coin experience. So I just think I was really struck by it. As I said, I've tried 2 of the 4 so far, and just very impressed. It's just a very nice implementation of the system, and something that I think is amazing to do on the way forward, is having these shorter versions of the game. There's nothing wrong with that inherently.
Yeah. Which one is next for you then?
Which one is next? I have actually, I think I want to, just because, this is Uruguay, sorry. The one that I'm intrigued by actually is El Salvador. Just because I remember this growing up, being in the news all the time. And actually I do have friends who fled El Salvador because of all the violence and everything going on at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they moved to Canada and so forth. But it's, so that's probably going to be the next one I try. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to kind of introduce it to you.
Once you learn one of these, do you find, like, this is a pretty thick rule book?
It is, yeah.
Do you find it takes a long time to adapt to the next one?
No.
Are there a lot of changes? Or is it
No.
sort of like, give me the Cole's Notes highlight here?
The interesting thing is that what they did was they treat each game as its own
So
game.
it has all of the rules.
The rules
but
are...
you don't need each...
identifying all the pieces.
Yeah.
Identifying all the pieces. Identify... Now, they might be different names, like, just based on the conflict, but they read very similarly. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so they're pretty quick to learn, even though it looks like there's a ton of reading. But then, of course, at the back they have got all like the historical, what each card, what the real event was, and then they've got an example of play as well. So like most of these games, the rules are actually only like the first third of the book, and the rest of it is example of play and historical notes. So it feels thick, but it's not too bad.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah, and if you've got some experience playing this game or the British way or anything, let me know what you think about this new direction that Coin seems to be headed in. I'm excited by it. I think it's going to be great, and it's going to bring more players to the system. And once they get hooked, then they can dive into some of the longer scenarios. So
I got to say, I still want to try Distant Plane, though.
Oh yes, we got to do that. We got to fire that out.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the overview. Now get out there.
Get gaming
and be legendary.